After picking up Matt Savoy from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Ryan McLeod to broaden their prospect pool, the Oilers decided to do that furthermore by re-signing one of their restricted free agents. But before we get into that, and even more breakdown towards the Oilers this summer and heading into the season, make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest, as 92% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. Make sure to join the ride as we get into the nitty-gritty of the dog days of summer. You know, in late July into the beginning of August, there's not a whole lot, but with Oilers Digest, we will cover anything and everything related to the Oilers, so you will get your fix all summer long. And if you need a rental fix, today's video is also sponsored by Rentals.ca, who are proud supporters of Team Canada. While they've been supporting our national team defend their home court heading into the Olympics, they've also been helping thousands of Canadians find their home floor all across the country, whether you're in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Halifax, Mississauga, Edmonton, Victoria, St. John's. From coast to coast, Rentals.ca have a ton of options to find the perfect place and price for you. Their website is clean and easy to use, and you can pinpoint exactly on the map where you want to move, finding all the options in your area. Find your home court with Rentals.ca. Check out their website in the pinned comment down below, or also in the description down below. And shout out to Rentals.ca for supporting the channel, Team Canada, and for you guys for finding the best rentals across the country. Of course, heading into the college and university season, or you just want to find a new place on your own, Rentals.ca has you covered. But let's get right into business here with the Oilers also getting into business, re-signing Raphael Lavoie. He's been sort of teetering, a tweener with the AHL and NHL. Will he make the big club this year? Will he just stay in Bakersfield and be trade bait eventually? Who knows? But this morning re-signed for a little above league minimum there with $775,000. You can see him supporting that 62. And, only played about 7 games last year with the Edmonton Oilers, making his debut against the Nashville Predators, getting a minus, but that's just a plus minus. It's a different story for another day. Of course, not cracking 10 minutes per night, but of course he was on the 4th line there and just getting a taste for the NHL, experience. What it's like. It's not easy, of course, as he was with Bakersfield for a good chunk of the past few years. Of course, making his professional debut over in Sweden there in 2020, 2021, of course, almost being a point per game there, almost, I should say, with 45 in 51 games. Came over to Bakersfield with 10 points in 19 games. Sort of slowly found his footing over in Bakersfield, but he's a big boy. He's a physical boy. Fought, I want to say, Cole Schwint and guys like Vasily Podkolzin, so he is able to throw his weight around, which is good because, with a roster like this that he was on last season with, the 4th line of James Hamblin and Derek Ryan, of course, Mattias Janmark and Connor Brown were down with injuries, and that was sort of a weird period for the Oilers. They were in between Jay Woodcroft and Kris Knoblauch, calling up the Bakersfield kids, seeing what they have. Of course, James Hamblin made his professional debut with the Oilers a few years ago, so getting a little more experience. But, you see a guy like Evander Kane on that 3rd line with Raphael Lavoie. He could, I don't want to, jinx anything here, but he could be an Evander Kane replacement, of course. Evander Kane signed for 2 more years. Lavoie signed for 1, sort of a prove-it deal. I expect him to see some time up with the Oilers this season. Of course, he's waiver exempt. There was that scare last year with Lavoie. He was on waivers after, initially not cracking the team. I thought he would last year. The Oilers needed a big, burly skater who can shoot the puck. Of course, Lavoie's biggest strength is his shot. His skating, not so much. We'll get into that later. But Evander Kane, could Lavoie replace him? Because, of course, Evander Kane aging a little bit, and there's also been some rumors saying that he's on the outs with Oilers management. He's not particularly too happy. What'll happen with that? Who knows? But there's a quote here from Bruce Surlock, the prospect expert for OilersNation.com. Oilers fans, he is the best in the business when it comes to analyzing Oilers prospects. He does it all. He also has his blog on Oilers Nation. Highly recommend it. And he says this about Raphael Lavoie. It says, what needs to be a focus for Lavoie on the next step is his skating. It's even the plus side of average at the AHL level. However, at the NHL, it is average, and his lateral mobility is not great. Lavoie has taken quite a journey. It is not completely unique for certain. However, for someone with his size and skill sets, of course, 6'4", a little over 215, he's not a small player whatsoever. You could use that size in the Oilers lineup. Even to be a second-round pick was a bit of a surprise. Does Lavoie have what it takes to play in the NHL? Yes, he does. Can he play the middle 6 minutes? I actually believe he can. Why? If he keeps his feet moving and plays responsibly, it is one gift that could make the difference on a team that needs bottom 6 scoring. And of course, a bottom 6 scoring, a guy like Lavoie on that contract could be huge for the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, Lavoie, a natural right wing in center, did play the left wing primarily for the Oilers last year. I don't know if you can sort of slot him anywhere in the lineup, if that's just where Knoblauch and Woodcroft had him initially. Who knows? I mean, a guy like Corey Perry, if you go into the playoffs, you can sort of interchange Lavoie with Perry, keep that size in the lineup without, sacrificing it and making your players fatigued. With the Oilers, they do have the depth to get away with just slotting players in and out of the lineup compared to prior years where they had, their big players play every game and it paid a price in the end. But with the Oilers, their cap space, they still have to sign their other two restricted free agents, Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. I don't see a team, offering them an offer sheet. As, offer sheets are thrown around all the time in the NHL, rumors of offer sheets thrown around all the time in the NHL, but, I think there's sort of a gentleman's agreement among the GMs, unless you are Montreal and Carolina, where, they do it for petty reasons. But yeah, the Oilers a little under the salary cap there, not by too much. I mean, with the deals that they've made throughout free agency, to only be under by that much is you almost have to wonder where they invented most of this cap space from. And with LTIR, the Evander Kane rumors, there's rumors that he's not ready, that he'll be ready for September. Who knows anymore? But we'll get into that later on. But for our other topic today, last week the schedule was released for the Oilers, the 2024-25 schedule breakdown. There's some key matchups, some divisional matchups, some divisional teams that you want to see a little more, but they only give them a very limited amount of times with the Oilers. That the whole schedule breakdown within the NHL, within the league, it's confusing at times. It's something else. But anyway, let's get right into it. Edmonton will line up against their provincial rivals, Calgary, only 3 times in the upcoming season. This happened 2 years ago where they only played 3 times, and it was very questionable. 2 of those matchups will be at Rogers Place, with the first coming early in the season on October 13th, and the second taking place near the end of March there. I mean, that's quite amount of time. There could be 2 completely different teams here with Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary could be, icing in a nearly all-rookie lineup towards the end of the season, as they are not expected to be good. But also, a highly anticipated rematch of the Stanley Cup Final against the Florida Panthers will go on December 16th at Rogers Place, and then Florida hosts the rubber match on February 27th. And then Edmonton against Utah. I'm excited to see the new Utah digs over at the Delta Center, or whatever arena they have now, but Oiler fans will get their first look at the NHL's newest team when Edmonton travels to Utah on November 29th, and Utah will play its first game in the Alberta capital city in a New Year's Eve spectacle on December 31st. I know Utah will be, I don't think they'll be as surprising as, I thought they would be. They're a very well-built team. They're a scary built team, too. I mean, the moves that they made at the draft and into free agency, watch out for them. Wildcard team, who knows? And then some other stats here. The Oilers will play 14 back-to-backs this season, which is a little more than league average. So look for Calvin Pickard to get half of those. He played 23 games for the Oilers last year, and will need to absorb another 5 that Jack Campbell started. Of course, Stuart Skinner played 59 games last year, a number they were targeting from late in the season. I wonder if the Oilers look to give him a few less, especially late in the year, in hopes of keeping them fresh and ready for the playoffs. This comes from Zach Lang of Oilers Nation. And yeah, I mean, Stuart Skinner, even if he plays a little less to keep him fresh for the playoffs, not Hellebuck numbers like the Jets are trying to do, whether that is just running him into the ground. The final 15 games of the regular season are all against Western Conference teams coming in the last month of the season. And yeah, it's a bit of a rough stretch here towards the end. Only 6 are against teams who made the playoffs. They face Winnipeg and Los Angeles twice in that stretch, as well as Dallas and Vegas. It includes a 6-game and 9-day stretch and a 5-game and 8-day stretch. Very busy, of course. In February, the league takes a week week and a half break off because of the Four Nations face-off. So in the latter half of the season, it'll be very busy. And lastly here, road trips. You're wondering, well, are the Oilers going to be on a long road trip this season? No, they will not. 5 games. I mean, that's extremely generous that the league is, only giving the Oilers a 5-game road trip. But the Oilers will also face 4-game road trips during the season, and then, of course, the one being part of a stretch of 7 away games in 8 between the 4th of January to the 18th of January. I mean, if there's any time where you want to escape the Edmonton winter, that's a perfect time. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about the Lavoie signing? Do you think he'll get big minutes with the club this year? Do you think they'll try him, in the top 6? See how he does, that big power forward, two-way power forward. Will he improve his skating? And most importantly, who do you want to see the Oilers, which game, I should say, are you most excited for this season? I've got a few. I can't really pick one. I have to pick a few. I mean, the Utah game, of course, and then also the Florida rematch. Highly anticipated. I'm excited for that. But let me know what you think down in the comments. That's it for today's video. I'm Matt. Take care.